All right, so now we're ready to kind of talk some more details about the lab. To be honest, the lab is self-contained. If you wanted to go work it and not kind of watch my videos that talk about it, you could just go do that. But I think you might get more out of it if you kind of work parts with me. So there's going to be like, I'm going to say some things, let you go work some, then I'm going to say some things, and then go let you work some, right? So the first thing I want to do is I want to go check out what is Dice with Friends, how does Dice with Friends work? So there is a website that you can go visit. It's dicewithfriends.com. You could also go to the AppSpot version. I think it's dice-with-friends.appspot.com, but you can just go to dicewithfriends.com. Hopefully it looks pretty similar with this. I'm sure I'll make changes and whatnot. And when you go here, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to sign in with Google. So this page, unlike Grade Recorder, it shows you something when you're not signed in, except for you have to choose to sign in. If you were to read the information here, you can see that there's some basic game rules. And you know what you should do is you should make sure to read the basic game rules for this dice game. The dice game that we're playing, it has a lot of names. I knew it as Greedy as a kid. Apparently more people call it Farkle because there's a Facebook version called Farkle. But it's you roll 6 dice and you get points for different things. You can read how this works. Essentially, you can pick off a 1 that's worth 100, a 5 which is worth 50, or a 3 of a kind that's worth whatever the face value is. So you have 3 threes, you can pull it off. Once you pull something off the table, you can choose to roll the remaining dice. But if you get nothing that scores, then you go bust. That's kind of the idea of the game. And if you succeed in getting all 6 of them to make something, then you can keep that number in your head and you can start rolling again. So that's kind of the idea. The game is played till 10,000. So the first one to 10,000 is the winner. This app, the way it implements it is you sign in. So I'm just going to go ahead and sign in here. It looks like I've signed in before, so it didn't ask me for my permissions. It's going to then ask you for your name. So I'm just going to have my name be Dave. That sounds good. And what you can do here is you can create a new game to where you play against somebody else. I'm going to play against Rolls Holman Fisher. That's just another alter ego I've got. For this app, you do have to type in the @gmail.com. That's just the way I've implemented it. And so I'm going to say, okay. And I'm going to play a game against Rolls Holman Fisher. So if you wanted to really play this, you would need to have 2 Gmail accounts, that or play against a friend of yours. So maybe you could play against your lab partner or something like that. I'm just going to play against my alter ego here. And so it's actually going to help me if I just have 2 tabs open. So to make an Incognito tab, you hold down Shift-Control-N, and then you can open up an Incognito tag. You can see the little guy up there. All right, so I'm going to make this guy go to Dice with Friends. And I'm going to sign in over here as Rose Holman Fisher. Note that I don't need to add the Gmail when I'm signing in because Google knows how to handle it, but my app didn't. And what I'm going to do over in this side is I'm going to say games in progress. So I'm going to try to find a game in progress. And it looks like I've got a game against Dave that started up today. So this is the same game. The tablet, the side on the left is Dave's screen because you can see Dave's on the left, and then the person signed in over here is Rolls Holman Fisher. So let's go ahead and play a game. So let's say that Dave is going to go. He's playing this game. He decides to pull off that 1 and that 5. He's up to 150. He says roll again. He went bust, right? So I got no points in his first round. His second round looks like I got some 6s, which is cool. And then I'm going to pull off that 1 as well. I got 700 in second round. So I'm going to stop there. If I come over here to Rolls Holman Fisher, right now his screen says we both played the same number of rounds. So that's actually not true. If I were to refresh it, it would say that Dave has played more rounds, but future scores are hidden, right? So what Rolls Holman Fisher is going to do over here is he's going to pull off a 1, 1, and a 5. He's going to be very conservative, and he's going to stop right there. And so he's just going to say stop. And then at the end of his round 1, what he can see is he can see his score after round 1, and he can see Dave's score after round 1. Now, Dave really has 700 points, but that's being hidden from Rolls Holman Fisher. So I think you kind of get the idea. Just to share, it's really easy to cheat on this app if you're ever actually playing somebody. It turns out that the way it really works is when you click on next turn, that sends this turn up. And if you wanted to cheat, all you really have to do is instead of saying like next turn, just click on refresh, and it'll start the round over. I am not worried about fixing that because this is just a demo, but if you were actually deploying this, like, you would definitely need to fix that, right? So I'm just going to roll again, and bust. And then I wanted to go ahead, and so I played a couple rounds here. I wanted to go ahead and show you that if you do make them to where they all match, you can click roll again. So my score is 450. And if I click roll again, you can see I get a new roll, and it adds to my 450, right? So that's kind of one of the goals, is when you have one dice left, you try to get that 1 or the 5 to keep going. All right, so I played a couple rounds over there for Rolls, Holman, Fisher. You can see that he's actually at 950. If I refresh for Dave over here, I can see that he's played more rounds. I don't know how many more rounds, but he's played more rounds. And eventually, if I catch up to him, I can say, now it says we've played the same number of rounds, and I can see that I'm behind him. So your goal, it's a fun game to play. Hopefully you kind of enjoy it, right? So your goal is to think about the data model. So what kind of data needs to get stored for this app? And try to draw a little picture, right? So like same story as before. How would you design the keys? And then how would you design the entities to actually store the data? So take a little bit and see if you can actually like work that part out all by yourself. After you work that out, there's actually a solution in the slides, right? And so you can look at the solutions in the slides. It's right there. I'll try not to show it for long. But after you've kind of got your plan, what I want you to do is I want you to go start the lab, right? So go to this link. That will take you to a page like this. And I want you to work through some of these initial processes, right? So go through, set up the project, go ahead and work through the adding the code. Go ahead and work through the app.yaml one. And go ahead and work through the models.py as well. Essentially, you're just implementing that image that I showed briefly. So go ahead and work through the lab. But then what I want you to do is, as soon as you get to the player utils one, I want you to stop, right? So work just these first 3 things, and then I want to talk about these last couple ones with you. All right. Good luck. There's a lot to do there. Go work the lab up through the models.py, finish that, and then stop. See you next time.